Pictures are often taken to capture a happy moment in time, a moment we often want to look back on because it simply made us smile. But sometimes those photos are the last thing someone will ever do. The following images that I'm about to show you were taken of or by people who would immediately after, unbeknownst to them, come face to face with their own death. They had no way of knowing what was to come next, and were forever immortalized in these tragic photos. So prepare yourself, because here are 10 photos taken right before tragedy. Number 1 is a car bombing. On August 15th, 1998, a group of Spanish tourists were visiting Omagh, Northern Ireland. This was during a 3-decade-long dispute between Unionists and Loyalists and Protestants and Catholics, and was a very dangerous time to be in the country. Two of the tourists, a father and son, decided to take a photo to commemorate their trip. Just moments after this photo was taken, the stolen red Vauxhall Cavalier to the right, shown here, exploded. The car bombing killed 29 people and injured another 220 more. However, in an unbelievable twist, the father and son pictured here beside the car actually survived the blast. However, it was actually the cameraman who was not so fortunate and died shortly after. The camera that took this image was found by the authorities in the rubble. Number 2 is the flood. On June 8th, 2014, a group of second-year engineering students from India were on a tour going from Shimla to Manali. Stopping by the riverbanks, they were unaware that a nearby hydroelectric plant had opened their floodgates, releasing a large surge of water into the river. They stopped to take a happy selfie when, almost immediately after, 25 students, including those seen here, were killed when the water levels raised drastically. The event became known as the Bias River Tragedy. Number 3 is the death of John Lennon. Taken on December 8th, 1980, this iconic photo was one of the last ever taken of the great John Lennon. This photo shows John Lennon signing an autograph for one of his biggest fans, Mark David Chapman. But little did he know that shortly after, Chapman would actually murder him. Chapman was a huge Beatles fan, but became fanatic and ended up shooting Lennon 4 times in the back, killing him. Perhaps what's truly disturbing about the situation is that Chapman waited for police to arrive after the murder because he wanted to be caught. He did it because he wanted to forever be known as the man who murdered John Lennon. Number 4 is a man jumping to his death. In February of 2013, a newspaper photographer was fiddling with their camera settings so that they could get a picture of the fog around a bridge in Hubei, China. However, what he actually caught was truly horrifying. While the photographer was trying to snap a picture of the bridge, a man jumped off of it, plummeting to his death. Immediately afterwards, a woman suspected of being the man's lover prepared to do the same. Paralyzed by shock and with the camera still in the photographer's hand, he did not know what to do. And as the woman jumped, the photographer tensed, accidentally taking the photo that you see here as the woman fell to her death. Number 5 is a live television suicide. R. Bud Dwyer was a Pennsylvania senator who served as the treasurer for Pennsylvania. However, his name ended up being dragged through the mud after being accused and convicted of corruption for accepting a bribe, for which he was forced to resign from his position. Maintaining his innocence and unable to cope any longer with the embarrassment with his family, he held a live press conference in which he was supposed to simply resign. However, that did not happen. The conference suddenly took a much darker turn, and instead of resigning, Dwyer pulled out a handgun in the middle of his speech live on air, put it in his mouth, and shot himself in the head. This to the horror of a room full of reporters and colleagues that had to watch. Disturbingly, the entire thing was broadcast live on television, and that clip itself is available in its entirety, uncensored, on YouTube right now. However, I warn you, the clip is not for those with a weak stomach. Number 6 is a serial killer murder. In 1990, 14-year-old Regina K. Walters from Texas and her boyfriend ran away from home and shortly after disappeared. The photo shown here is the last image ever taken of Regina, which was taken by her murderer, serial killer and rapist Robert Ban Rhodes. One of over 50 of Rhodes' victims, police believe that while her boyfriend was likely brutally killed right away, Walters was kept alive longer, as Rhodes liked to take pictures of his victims before torturing them. One of those such pictures being this one, where Walters' hair was cut and she was forced to wear a black dress. This photo was taken just moments before Rhodes brutally murdered Walters in an abandoned barn. Rhodes was finally apprehended and convicted in 1994, but the haunting photos of his victims live on in infamy. Number 7 is falling into Niagara Falls. On October 1st, 1995, Robert Overacker, a stuntman, wanted to use his stunt skills to draw attention to the growing homeless problem. He devised a plan to illegally jump over Niagara Falls in a jet ski that had a sign on it that said "Save the Homeless." The original plan was to ride straight off of Niagara Falls and parachute to safety. However, that did not become the case. On the attempt, the parachute did not deploy. This photo is the last one ever taken of Overacker alive, and was taken mere moments before the stuntman fell to his death. Number 8 is inside a plane crash. On August 12, 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123, a passenger flight from Tokyo to Osaka, hit a fatal snare. Interestingly, just 7 years earlier, the same plane went down due to a faulty repair from a tail strike, and although the plane technically worked after being fixed, it was in a state of deterioration. On this day, the plane experienced a violent decompression, ripping off a large portion of the plane's tail and taking with it the hydraulic controls. This photo was taken by a passenger shortly after the pilot declared that there was an emergency happening. Out of 524 passengers, only 4 survived, making this one of the deadliest plane crashes in history. This photo is truly unique as it shows the terrifying last moments from the inside of right before a plane crash. Number 9 is a man hit by the subway. This image depicts Ki-Suk Han as he was on December 3rd, 2012. Stuck on the tracks, Han was pushed by another man after an argument. Han frantically struggled to get up onto the ledge, but without help, he was unable to do so. Onlookers frantically waved their hands to alert the train conductor, but it was to no avail. That was when photographer R. Umar Abbasi tried using the flash of his camera to get the conductor's attention. However, it did not work. Instead, all that Abbasi got was a series of chilling photos depicting Han fighting for his life right before the train hit him, killing him instantly. And number 10 is a deadly plane collision. On September 25th, 1978, Pacific South Airlines Flight 182 collided with a small 4-seater plane. The two airplanes crashed over San Diego, killing all passengers upon impact with the ground. To this day, this stands as the deadliest Californian aviation crash in history, with a death toll of 144, 137 of which on board, and the other 7 on the ground who were killed by falling debris. The probable cause was determined to be Flight 182 not following air traffic control procedure by not informing air traffic control that they had lost visual contact with the other smaller plane. This photo was the last taken of the plane before shortly after crashing into the ground, killing everyone on board as well as some civilians. So, those were 10 photos taken right before tragedy. But I want to know from you in the comments, which of these photos was the most disturbing to you? Was it the man pushed onto the tracks that was killed by the train? Or was it the serial killer taking the last photo of his victim? And if you're subscribed to my channel, don't forget to click the little notification bell to enable notifications so that you can be alerted when I upload my next video. That's all for this time. Sweet dreams, and I will see you on Tuesday.